Let's understand the short rows before we start just working the beginning together. We have 3 ribs and we have the shoulder markers. Make them in a different color. It's easier to see where you are. So we are going to raise a little bit of the neck and the shoulder slant. So the shoulder marker is going to be like the tip of the slant, a little bit from the neck, a little bit from the shoulder. We're going to do that using short rows that are getting larger, and then after the right side is done, we're going to go over to the left side, not all the way down, but just a little bit after the shoulder marker, and then begin the short rows getting wider here to create the left shoulder slant. So remember, we are working everything around the shoulder marker on the right, then around the shoulder marker on the left. Now let's go ahead and start working the short rows, maybe a few short rows at the beginning, and then you can do the rest yourself. So short row 1, we're going to knit all the way to the rib marker. That's the first marker we see. And we're going to slip the marker. Now we are working the first rib. So we have 2 rib markers. We're going to work the first rib here. So we always start and end with knit 2 to back loop. And then we've got the purl 2 and knit 2 to the back loop. And purl 2, knit to the back loop. Let's do that all the way to the rib marker. And we're on the last knit 2 to back loop, and make sure your rib should be continuing the rib you started, so you can start seeing the knit 2 knit columns and 2 purl columns, 2 knit columns, 2 purl columns, so it should continue the previous row. And we're going to slip the marker, and now we are starting, we're getting to the end where we start the turning. So we're going to knit to the shoulder marker. That's only a few stitches here. We're going to slip marker and knit 2 and turn. So we took 2 stitches from the neck and we're turning to go back to the shoulder. We're at the beginning of short row 2, wrong side. First stitch is a Japanese slip stitch. So we need to place a removable marker on the yarn and just slip the first stitch. Hold this marker close to the work on the wrong side, slip the first stitch, and now the instructions tell us to purl to shoulder marker. Let's purl the stitch and anchor the marker to place, and we are at the shoulder marker. So that's 1 stitch for us. We're going to slip the marker and purl to the rib. Let's purl all the way to the rib marker. And we are at the rib, and now we are only going to take a few stitches from the rib. So we're going to slip the rib marker. For the sizes 1 to 6, we're going to work purl to back loop 2. So let's purl to back loop 2, then knit 2. We're going to knit 2, and we have purl to back loop 1. For sizes 7 to 9, you're going to work another repeat of this pattern. So purl 2 to back loop, then again knit 2. So work this twice just for sizes 7 to 9. And then the last stitch for all sizes is a purl to back loop 1. So we are turning, always turning on the wrong side in the middle of 2 purl stitches. Remember that. We're going to turn to work the next short row. So we are turning just a little bit after the rib marker. Sizes 1 to 6 we have 5 stitches, and for sizes 7 to 9 we have twice the pattern and another stitch, so that's 9 stitches. So short row 3, we're on the right side. First stitch, we need to Japanese slip 1 on the right side. We're going to place a removable marker on the yarn and then hold it close to the work, slip the first stitch. Next stitch we have a purl to knit to back loop to marker. So yarn to the front, we're going to purl the next 2 stitches. Make sure you cut the marker here between the stitches and knit to back loop, and do that again for sizes 7 to 9. 1 to 6 is just once, and we reached the rib marker. So we finished the rib. Now we have knit to shoulder marker, slip marker. We're going to knit the few stitches here to the shoulder marker and slip marker, and now we are getting to the gap. So knit to the gap. We're going to knit the 2 stitches to the gap. Then we're going to close the gap with a Japanese knit 1. So we're going to pull the marker, place this so-called stitch, the strand of yarn on the needle, and take out the marker. And let's work a Japanese knit, closing the gap by knitting together the next stitch and this yarn. So that was the JK1, that's 1 stitch, and we need to work to knit 1 more stitch and turn. So we added 2 more stitches from the neck to the short rows and turn. Short row 4, on the wrong side we need to Japanese slip 1. So let's place a marker on the yarn, hold it close to the work, slip the first stitch, that's the Japanese slip. Now we need to purl to the shoulder marker. Make sure you catch the marker here and purl all the way to the shoulder marker. We're going to slip this marker and purl to the rib marker. So let's continue to the rib. And again, we're going to work to the gap and add more, close the gap and add more stitches. So we're going to slip the rib marker, purl to back loop 2, 1, 2, knit 2 until we reach 1 stitch before the gap. So for sizes 1 to 6 it's only once. For sizes 7 to 9 you're going to work 4 more stitches like that until you reach 1 stitch before the gap. We're going to purl 1 to back loop, so we're going to purl the stitch we slipped on the previous row to the back loop, and then we need to Japanese purl 1 to close the gap. So we're going to slip the next stitch, pull the yarn and place this loop on the left hand marker. We can take out the marker, the left hand needle, sorry, and slip the stitch back to the left hand needle to work them together as a purl two together. This was our Japanese purl one that closed the gap. Now we have knit 2. We are continuing working in the rib pattern. So knit 2, you should have 2 knit columns, then purl to back loop 2. So 1 and 2. And we're going to knit 2 again. And just like before, the turn is between the 2 purl stitches. So we're going to purl 1 to back loop and turn. So this is how we work the short rows, and you can see that our shoulder is taking more stitches, the neck is taking less stitches, but we are creating this slant on both sides with the shoulder marker as the tip of the mountain we're creating. The rest is the same, so we are working the pattern, the rib pattern, all the way to the gap. We're going to close the gap with a knit stitch on the right side and turn. Then work all the way to the gap here at the rib. We're going to close the rib with a Japanese purl stitch on the wrong side and then add more stitches. And after after 1 or 2 more repeats, you're going to pass the rib marker and reach to the end. When you reach the end of the shoulder, you're going to work all the way back and just do the same here on the other side of the shoulder marker. So I hope this gives you more confidence starting the short rows. Now you can just read it by yourself and work it in the same method yourself.